Bienvenue. Les aventures de Frank et Ben. Troisième série. Frank and Ben go back to Perkins on a Greyhound bus. 13e histoire. Frank and Ben go back to Perkins, part 13. After having made a brief stop in North Bay, Ontario, the bus is now on its way to Ottawa. It is about 4 in the morning, and every passenger is sleeping in their seat, or if they are lucky, stretched out on two. Every passenger is reclining in some position or other. Everyone is shrouded in darkness. The whole interior of the bus is dark, except where one person is still reading and still has her overhead light on. Yes, it is only Carlotta Hardbottom who is still awake at this early hour of the morning. It is only she who has a mind very much alert and engaged in a stimulating activity. Indeed, for the last 9 hours or so, she has been studying a book with utmost concentration. She has been so immersed in this book that for the longest time she has paid little attention to anything else. Even when the bus slowed down a couple of hours ago and passed the bus that had unfortunately gone off the road and ended up lying on its side in the ditch, and even when other passengers were taking in the sight and making comments about the people who had been injured, and in particular the elderly woman who had been critically injured, Carlotta still had her mind more on the subject of her book than the circumstances and events leading up to this unfortunate incident. The overhead lights on the bus are weak, and so, not surprisingly, Carlotta's eyes are getting tired. But rather than putting the book aside for a while, she decides to remedy the situation with a small reading lamp that she can strap onto her head. This lamp is designed to be worn while doing such things as reading or sewing, and resembles a miner's light. She takes this lamp out from one of the side pockets of her backpack and puts it on. Now she can see the print much easier while having her hands free to turn the pages or do other things. Unfortunately, however, she sometimes lets this lamp point directly towards the front of the bus, where the beam hits the front windshield. There it causes a reflection in the glass, as well as in the driver's rear view mirror. The bus driver, naturally enough, doesn't appreciate these flashes of light while he's driving. They're definitely a distraction for him, and so he finally gets on the loudspeaker and in a brusque voice says, "Whoever has a light on back there, turn it off." Once again, something unfortunate happens. Being so totally immersed in her book, Carlotta fails to hear what the bus driver has said. Even after the bus has slowed down and stopped, and even after the driver has gotten out of his seat and is approaching her rather ominously, she continues to read with utmost concentration. In the meantime, a few other passengers stir in their sleep, and some even wake up and wonder why the bus has stopped in the middle of nowhere. But no one on the bus has to wait long before they know exactly who is responsible for this unscheduled stop. As soon as the driver reaches Carlotta, he orders her to take the lamp off her head. He does so in a manner that is even less polite than when he ordered her over the loudspeaker to turn it off. In spite of the driver's rough and uncivil way of speaking, Carlotta doesn't respond immediately. However, when he orders her a second time to get rid of this lamp that is now making him even more furious by shining directly in his face, she can't help but obey. Swiftly she takes the lamp off her head, shuts it off, and puts it back in her backpack. After the driver has gone back to the front of the bus, Carlotta sits silently for a long while. She doesn't stir while people grumble and make unpleasant remarks about her. Many are angry because, apart from being woken up, they have heard the bus driver say that her light could have caused the bus to go off the road. Day is starting to break when Carlotta finally rouses herself. With some hesitation and awkwardness, she gets to her feet. Then she starts to move towards the front of the bus. Some of the people sitting around her are startled when they see this. Others make crude jokes about what her intention might be. But most people, whatever their mood or attitude, are very much concerned to see what she's going to do next. Finally, coming up to the driver, she says to him, "Excuse me, I didn't mean to cause a problem or create a situation that might be dangerous. It's just that I sometimes get caught up in my reading. When this happens, I'm not as careful as I should be. I realize this is a failing on my part, and hopefully I'll be able to correct it in the future." While she is saying this, the bus driver hunches over the steering wheel and holds it even more tightly than before. He doesn't say a word to Carlotta and seems to be totally preoccupied with his driving. "I'm sorry for what happened," Carlotta continues. "However, I really do think, now that I've apologized and explained the worst I'm capable of, you should address me in a more civil manner than you've been doing up to now." "Get back to your seat," he shrieks at her suddenly, as if she were ready to grab the steering wheel. "You're creating a situation right now that's dangerous. Get back, or I'll call the police."